At the Marriage Initiative, one of the things that we uniquely understand is that social problems persist when what we think about the problem is wrong, Becky. And one of the things that we've begun to understand is that we don't have as many social problems as we have family systems problems. And the most strategic way to strengthen families is to strengthen the family leadership team, which a lot of people call the marriage, that is the marriage. And so we focus on what we feel like is the most strategic way to strengthen families from the inside, is to equip those parents to raise those kids. Kids that come from two-parent intact families do better by every measure, and so that's why we work uniquely in this space. I'm a donor, and so I came to this space as a donor, and I was very interested in how we could advance more connectivity across the community, better collaboration, and I just committed to have coffee with 2 people a week, and little did I know, 1,000 conversations later, I would meet a lot of people right here in San Antonio, now around the country, who feel called to this work.
How many people?
Goodness, we serve teams in 30 cities. We serve 180 authors all the way across the country. We have always served the local church in its unique mission to strengthen families and marriages. And we have a brand new effort to strengthen families from a public policy perspective.
That's great. Tell me a little bit about the public policy piece. That sounds good.
We have all the money we need to do this work. It's called TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. And TANF is a massive federal block grant system given to states for the purpose of strengthening families. There's 4 components of TANF, and 3 of those 4 are uniquely designed to strengthen families. And the problem is that in Texas, we really don't have a good strategy for how to do this in Texas. We're essentially, as I've been told, we're kind of backfilling child welfare. In fact, we were called out by the Ways and Means Committee in Congress as being the state that spends their money on child welfare more than anyone, in terms of like, we're waiting until the problems are at their very most challenging point, at their most expensive point, to then intervene to solve problems in the most expensive way possible. States like Oklahoma, Utah, Minnesota, Florida, Tennessee, these are all states that are much more proactive, thinking very upstream, thinking preventive, like how do we help families before the price tag is $180,000? And so what we're advancing is a project called Reimagining TANF in Texas. And Texas gets $500 million a year for family strengthening. Unfortunately, it's not flowing to the partners across the state who could do the best work.
So tell me how that works. Tell me about a family story that you have.
A family story?
Sure. How does that work?
We feel like we intervene with families in 3 different spaces. When they're entering marriage, like in the premarital stage, when they are currently married and they're kind of getting used to being married, or when they're in the struggling stage. And across the entire spectrum, there's unique ways to interact with the family leadership team, which is what we call the marriage. And so our work is decentralized. So we work with a network of people all across the city. We don't do any direct services because it is much more cost effective to empower other people to do the work. And so to give you an example of what that looks like in San Antonio has over 200 events for marriages per year. We are the most marriage resource city in the country. We run 1 million messages into our community. What happens when you do 200 marriage events a year in a city and put 1 million marriage messages in a community a year? You have a dramatic drop in the divorce rate. In 2023, divorce fell by 8.5% in San Antonio. In 2024, it fell by 15%. That is almost a 24% over 2 years that we've seen a change in the divorce rate. The taxpayer cost of divorce in Texas is over $38,000 per family. This translates into tens of millions, or actually hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer savings, because kids from broken families or fractured families, boys are 6 times more likely to be incarcerated. There's all sorts of the downstream impacts that we believe we're preventing. And we're doing this through a decentralized system where we empower people to play their highest and best role all across San Antonio, whatever that is. Yeah, all the predictable places. we work with counselors, authors, church leaders. I was just at an event for family law attorneys. They have found there's a unique role that they can play, and that's pretty elementary. But we've asked family law attorneys to create a new process when they're taking in clients to ask, is there any hope for this marriage? They weren't asking that question. There's a highest and best role even for a divorce law attorney to play.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And you guys have grown a lot, based here, but tell me a little bit about that, kind of the growth trajectory.
It was slow going in the beginning. We from 2009 to 2019, over that 10-year period, we grew to 6 people. But COVID was a game changer for us. People have misunderstood how COVID has impacted families. It has been a very positive impact on marriages, because what has changed culturally is that people are not giving up on their marriage so quickly. And that's what, again, is driving this reduction in the divorce rate. And so we've grown from to today to about 22 team members. A lot of those are independent contractors. I think we have 9 or 10 employees, but we have a lean and mean team. Well, I have 42 years of background in the business world, and I've committed 20,000 hours as a volunteer to this. And one of the things I know from our business world, if you don't have a certain amount of operational discipline, you'll never get the projects finished. And so in 2019, we began to get really focused on operational discipline and strengthening our organization. And so one of the first people we got met on Catchafire was a guy named Devin. And Devin is a rock star in the change management world and process development world. We could have never paid Devin what he charges, but he came into our mission, met with our team, fell in love with our team and our mission, and contributed to some really important early steps on us creating more operational excellence and operational discipline. And then we kind of got the bug with Catchafire, and so different team members have used Catchafire. One of the most interesting projects was that we have this ambitious idea of creating the largest online marriage resource center in the country, and we currently have that. And how did we do that? Well, we had interviewed 180 authors of books and resources and podcasts and everything imaginable, and they collectively have 800 resources for marriages. But we needed a central website to be able to display this properly, because marriage is really unique as it relates to the internet. When people are going through a difficult time in their marriage, they don't reach out often to their pastor, they often don't reach out to even a counselor. The first place they go to is the privacy of the internet. And this is something that we actually have over 25 years of experience in. But we wanted to create this next generation of website, but that was going to be very, very expensive to do. And so we engaged with Catchafire, and what we did is we project managed this, but with the help of some really bright people. And one of the first persons was Caroline, and Caroline was a very talented WordPress designer. And Caroline gave us kind of the template for a website that our team members could then build out. And so, but she worked on this project for months as she kind of put this together. And then we have a really neat story of a lady named Carmilla. Carmilla is a lady who came to the United States from India, and she had just arrived in New York City when she applied to be a Catchafire volunteer. And we connected with her, and she did a lot of the really high-tech search engine positioning work, which was really important to us. It was interesting. She had this 3-week window when she was in New York City, but she was trying to find a city to locate in. She had this 3-week window, and she really wanted to contribute, and she contributed to our project and brought a lot of sophistication to how we do search engine optimization. Again, we could have never done that on our own. So, and we've used a guy named Chris, who's helped us with our donor development. We've used a guy named Mike, who has just given us all sorts of feedback, and he's an engineer. But it's helped us become a stronger organization. And I think Catchafire plays a really vital role, because as a nonprofit leader, you are very in touch, Becky, you know this, you're really in touch with the extraordinary generosity of people. And even though I come from the business world, we're pretty low risk in what we're willing to commit dollars to, because we're always thinking about that person that's giving $10 a month or $100 a month and the sacrifice that they're giving. So in the nonprofit world, we play it safe. We're not willing to take on ambitious projects, even though we know there could be incredible outcomes, because to commit, say, $75,000 or $125,000 to this biggest website on the internet, for marriage resources, that would be a big gamble to take with donor money. And so by being able to project manage it ourselves and have these incredible talented people contribute to it, it allowed us to take a chance that we would not otherwise take. So Catchafire has helped us build capacity. It's allowed us to take risks that we would not take. And surprisingly, we built a lot of friendships, because these are really great people.
That's interesting. Could you have found these kind of people in your own network?
Absolutely, we could find them. They bill between $100 and $250 an hour. So we could have had lunch with them, but we couldn't have afforded them. And coming from the business world 4 decades and as astutely understanding ROI, I admire these donors because they're getting really high ROI. And why is it? It's because we're building these really incredible projects that untold people will use. The ROI on this marriage resource project, I can't even estimate how high it would be. Why? It's because we built it at a very, very low cost, and yet it's going to reach an awful lot of people. Yeah, I want to say thank you. And also, I admire SVP. I remember when SVP first came to San Antonio, and I thought that was really extraordinary. I was very proud of San Antonio for embracing the SVP vision, because it's a very bold vision, and it's also SVP is also providing a needed service that's not otherwise available. And so I really admire you, Becky, and your leadership, and I admire all the SVP people for their generosity, but also for the incredible and creative and innovative way they're making a difference in the world by leveraging the collective impact of what's already here.
Yeah. You went to the international conference. You're
I
one
did.
of one of the 2 nonprofits that we had served. So what did you think? Tell me about your impressions of SVP International.
Again, very impressed. India has such incredible presence here, and that's interesting to me. Because there's so many creative things that are happening in India, and so it doesn't surprise me in some ways. Met some incredible people, heard from some incredible speakers and thought leaders, and man, to have it so close by in Austin to be able to visit was a huge win.